All right, is that better?
Yeah. All right, welcome to the monthly and annual meeting of the Athens in Motion Commission. Thank you for your patience. Since we are getting, thank you so much. Since we're getting started a little bit late, we have a lot to cover. So I think we're going to try and go to 6:15. If anyone needs to roll out at 6, we'll totally understand. So thank you for your patience as we get back into the swing of things of our in-person meetings. And of course, we had our first one last October. I want to thank Teresa for stepping in, our vice chair, the lead. I'm going to grab my water bottle. Daniel, were there any public comments on our agenda items?
None that I saw.
Okay. That's great. That will speed some things along. So tonight, as I said, is our annual meeting. Any additions, corrections to our agenda? Are we going to front load Barber Street?
Well, I guess that's the question. Ronnie, were you saying that you needed to step away briefly, or you can't stay for the whole meeting?
So, I'm here. Lauren, can you repeat your question, please?
Ronnie, do you need us to front load the Barber Street discussion or updates?
Or is it okay waiting until staff update?
We'll wait until staff update.
Okay.
That's fine.
Great. I'll go ahead and I did not share my screen before, so. All right. Look good? Mm-hmm. I will entertain a motion to approve our agenda.
So moved. Second.
Dale, second from Mark. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Well, they can't vote. Sorry. Any opposed, same sign. All right, we have an agenda. Next are our minutes from October. Our first meeting back in person, led by Teresa, and minutes conducted by Blaine. Blaine, you had a question about what we had recommended as far as Barber Street goes, right?
Right. I just remember it was option 3B or 3A. I have
It's a technical number. Anyone remember that?
I thought it was 3B.
A.
It was A.
It was an A. I literally just deleted it from my staff update. Oh, no, you're right. 4B was the recommended option.
4B.
And then the second.
Which is remove parking.
Mm-hmm.
Remove parking for more space, to maintain more property. And then the second option was 4A.
The second option was 4B with a narrower width.
Oh, okay, 4.
And then the third one was 4A.
Third. Any other?
Is there supposed to be a 4C or is 4B repeated?
There's not a 4C.
Okay.
So narrow width is a modification of 4B. Does that sound right?
Yes. Basically, I think 4B was a 12-foot cycle track, and we discussed 8 to 10 as in lieu of that, if basically to impact it even less.
Lauren, can I ask a question quick?
Yes.
I saw in the notes that were just being put onto the screen that there was 4B was first choice, and then there were a couple of other things following that, listing it as me making a motion. I'm pretty sure my motion was only for one option with no, no second priority or third priority.
Thank you.
I do remember that discussion around the less wide options to impact the property less. I'm not sure how that was implemented or but I do remember us discussing that.
Yeah.
Maybe that was meant to be more of an addendum than anything else.
Yeah, it was essentially if there was a request, I think what the discussion was, is there any version of it with a multi-use path that y'all would recommend? And the answer was no. Just you would not recommend a multi-use path.
I'm gonna have to move them over here. Sorry.
Okay.
So that way I can.
Gotcha.
This is good. Sorry. All right. Any other tweaks to our minutes? Thank you, John, for noticing that. I will entertain a motion. I will actually make the motion to approve our minutes from October.
Second?
Second, who's that?
I'm good at seconding. I can do that.
Okay. Mark seconds. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, same sign. All right, there goes our minutes. And y'all can still see our screen, right? For those who are watching, well, you can still see the minutes, the meeting. Okay, thank you. Some updates and housekeeping. So our next meeting will be Tuesday, January 24th. We're not meeting in December. Committee chairs, I was gonna suggest that y'all go ahead and get with Daniel about scheduling your January meetings, because what will happen is we'll come back in January and the whole month will go by. I'll be like, what? So, as you are available to schedule those meetings. There has been some discussion about our format. And so there was this idea of potentially looking at reports and having our staff information sections be a little bit more inquiry-based, I would say. The one thing I want to make sure of is that the public also knows what's going on, and that nothing gets overlooked. Of course, it's really, you'll see from the reports today that Sherelle and Daniel and really everyone in TPW has a lot going on. So we're already kind of cramming a lot. So any discussion? I'll open the floor.
Someone relatively new to the commission, it's good to hear the explanations and not just read a report, because some of that doesn't read with any understanding or comprehension if it's not put into context. So for the newer people on the commission, it's good to hear the explanation. I agree with that.
So hearing that helps provide some context versus report. Okay.
I do think, being guilty of this myself, we don't always all have to comment on everything. So, that's just, that's me. I know that, and I'm going to try harder in the future to be doing less of that.
Well, I don't think you're commenting on everything. I think that we do a pretty good job of scaling back, because I could talk about this stuff all day long, but sure, point taken. John, did you want to chime in?
I would be happy to. I missed the first part of the discussion because my kid just got home from school, but
Sure.
I think we're talking about the comments on meeting efficiency. Is that right?
Yes, on meeting format, and if we want to, change it up, or what we can do.
Yeah, and Lauren, I think over email you asked the question as to whether summary or whatever it was kind of characterized the comments previously. The only thing that I would add is, meeting efficiency for the sake of shortening the meeting duration would be a big priority for me. I think, having the 2-hour meeting is just a lot to, keep focus and to ask. So if we could make meetings more efficient to the end of shortening them, that would be ideal. I also, having put written reports together for meetings before and having been through meetings that do feature those written reports, I just think they're extremely important to have something to chew on and right, to have the opportunity to ask questions about those reports and fill in any, maybe more anecdotal information, but they really do help. And I think that taking a report off of an agenda is a big thing to improve both efficiency and productivity and flow. So those are my comments.
I am curious how many people actually read our reports and if anyone found them useful.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
In fact, I like having this document here because often I kind of don't remember all the details that are presented. So it's kind of nice to have this, and I appreciate it very much.
Yeah, and we do have the reports, and Sherelle and Daniel will share from that today. John, thank you for your thoughts. I'll be honest with you. We're doing a lot. Daniel and Sherelle have a lot going on, and I do think it's part of our mission in Athens in Motion to get in the weeds a little bit on these transportation issues. And the idea is so that hopefully the mayor and commission, maybe they don't have to dive as deep because we can present them with an informed recommendation. If they want to be deep divers, they can on that. Definitely hear you on the long meetings. Mayor and commission, sometimes they sit for 6 hours, and I know it's a little rough on me to sit for a long time too. So I don't think that we're going to be able to shorten our meetings any. I think we're going to actually have a hard time fitting everything in with 2 hours because we just got Sherelle, and as you saw, if you had a chance to look at Sherelle's staff report, in addition to Daniel's, she's really hit the ground running, and there's things I'm going to want to know about. But what we can do, and I want to hear you on, is maybe we can have a little bit more conversation or try and have a little bit more back and forth or cherry pick items that you as a commission want to hear more about. Or maybe something we could do is have a staff item every month that we just get in the weeds on, and the rest are kind of a little more cursory.
Well, and I think I could do a better job of limiting the amount of my job that I bring to these meetings.
That's something else I was going to say. Like, yeah, we don't.
Because there's a lot of stuff I do day to day. Y'all don't need a full update, I think, of everything.
And same.
Yeah. Okay, so to that end, maybe I can talk with Daniel and you, Sherelle, and figure out like what does the commission need to see, or what would be useful, and bring that to you all, so we can have discussion about the things that are most crucial to our role as commissioners, because we're not your bosses. So, all right, so we'll continue working on this going forward. And we do have those staff reports today. Any other thoughts on that?
I just say that a 2-hour meeting is fine.
Okay.
3 hours. We haven't done one of those, have we?
I think we had
We're
2
getting
hours
close.
and 15.
Yeah.
Technically, me and Randy may have had a 3 hour.
That was a long one, but it was a good one.
Okay.
If you're gonna, if you're like in a work session, that's different.
Yeah.
But these recap meetings. Right.
I do want to hear y'all out as individuals. So if y'all need to get up and move around, or get some water or something or snack, please do so. Okay, moving on, and we are so far on schedule with our original plan. Next item on the agenda is our annual report, which I will go through pretty quickly. So we are required to do one of these every year. It's in our charter and bylaws. I'm going to try and find it. Yes. Nope, that's not it. Yes. The short version of this is that we were pretty busy. So Dale joined us this year, Greenway appointee, and John, who's online right now. And Teresa and Randy were renewed. I hope I got everyone's dates right. And then we were sad to see Carly Evans, our last Greenway appointee, leave, and Aaron Redmond, who was with us from the beginning. We thank them for their service. Very exciting. We welcomed Sherelle as our new Vision Zero coordinator. And again, she's hit the ground running, so excited to have her join. Similar to last year, we have 3 active committees, grants and data, education, outreach, policy and projects. And if anyone is watching this in the future, you don't have to be on the Athens in Motion Commission to serve in these committees. You can be a regular person. So there's plenty of work to do. Would love your help, public. We also have membership in the TSPLOS 2018 corridor committees, and those folks report back to the Athens in Motion Commission. And we have returned to in-person meetings as of October. And had a lot going on, which I will go over here below. I think one of our biggest accomplishments was getting a new complete streets policy passed. That was a multi-year effort. It was started with our former chair, who's now commissioner, ACC Commissioner Carol Myers, and that passed unanimously by the Marion Commission. So that was a big deal. 4 out of 5 of our proposed TSPLOS projects made it into the final list. And I did go ahead and kind of link those up just to see how they all met together. Like, so the Lexington Road Corridor Improvements Project, we call that Lexington Road Bike Ped Facilities, and the Atlanta Highway in West Broad. And then of course, Project 25 is our big bucket for Tier 1 bike pedestrian projects, and that can include some accessibility improvements as well. We spent a lot of time working on those submissions in 2022, and it was great to see those passed. Yeah, and Tracy had a note about adding ADA. I think what I went with, the ADA project is down here.
Where is it?
It's under Project 25 because that's what it kind of got merged into.
Because I was counting, looking for 4, and I only saw 3.
Right, yeah. So what happened?
It got mashed in there. Okay.
Yeah. And I looked at
it.
Yeah. Thank you, Teresa, for looking at that. We only had one special call meeting about Barber Street this year. Last year we had 3 or 4, I think it was. So we only had one. We only had one special call meeting total. And we developed a recommendation, and this will be presented to the Mayor and Commission in early 2023. I think that's now January is what we're thinking.
Yeah, Ronnie will have some
that.
dates, hopefully.
I hope I encapsulated all of our official letters and recommendations. So I only have 2. One is the one that Teresa, you had written regarding the pedestrian deaths and cyclist deaths and the need for a Vision Zero policy. And we use this to support that policy and Sherelle's position, I believe. And then our recommendation for Prince Avenue, which is forthcoming, and I'll go into that in a moment. Most exciting, my favorite letter, well, maybe it's not my favorite letter, is we wrote our 4th letter for North Avenue for the past 4 years. TBW has been applying for a RAISE grant, and this was begun by our first bike and pedestrian coordinator and continued with Daniel. And we got the money, probably the largest grant awarded, single grant awarded in ACC history. I think that's a big deal. Want to thank our elected representatives and Senator Raphael Warnock for making that happen too. And also the hard work of our staff, never giving up. So we'll get updates on that.
And ASAF also. Give a lot of
Yes.
support.
And of course, ASAF. And you got letters from many of our elected officials.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, definitely, last year we had like 27 letters. I think this year we only got around 23.
Yeah.
You know.
And of
So,
course, members of the community also wrote letters too. So it paid off. I mean, it takes a while to write that letter, but I don't know of an easier way to get $25 million. So in general, we also, I put that we supported the Vision Zero coordinator position, new resolution. I think that we mainly had that letter that Teresa had written, but I think that was mostly you guys on staff making that happen. But we were like, yes.
yeah, y'all
Please.
spoke and in favor of it and everything. So I
Yeah.
think that helped a lot.
It's a good job there. We tabled at actually a lot of events compared to the previous years when there was the pandemic. And I think I got all of these. Teresa, let me know if I missed any, but there was the Green Life
That's good to me.
Expo, the Marigold Festival with T-SPLOSH 2023, UGA Bike and Pedestrian Safety Day, where we talked to so many students. It's great. I think it was good for them, but it was also good for us to hear their experiences. And then, of course, Porch Fest with Historic Athens, Bike Athens, and the Prince Avenue User Group to educate users about the pilot project. So we are out and about, and I know that Education and Communications Committee wants us to get out a bit more in the next year, and we'll come to that. So that brings us to our committees. Again, we have 3 committees. Grants and Data applied for several grants, not given up here. Also providing support on the Raise and Safe Streets for All grants. And y'all are starting work on silver status for the bike safety community application, which I know is your top priority. Is that due February, right?
Yeah, February 15th is due, I think.
Then education and outreach, a lot of work from this committee this year because we now have a communication plan and strategy. Increase our social media presence, so I've been noticing that. And further work in that area, potentially hiring a contractor coming up. And again, wanting to participate in more public events. So policy and projects, again, completed the Complete Streets policy that got passed and approved. And this group is not slowing down. Already working on a crosswalk policy that had been started by staff before. So continuing work, and that will come forth in a future meeting to the whole commission. And then bike ordinances, there's a whole bunch of stuff that we can pull in from there. And project prioritization, we're starting to talk about that. That'll take up a lot of time in 2023. And Teresa, I know you had participated in a roadway safety audit for Mitchell Bridge and Timothy Road. Were there any other roadway safety audits that any of us were in or that you were in, Teresa?
Actually, I wasn't present for Timothy Road, I'm sorry to say, but
Okay.
Mitchell Bridge.
Okay. Is that 2 different ones?
It was a walk audit. Yeah, it ended up being on 2 days.
Okay, so I'll
So
go
it was related to the projects. Lexington Road, no, we didn't have a representative.
I just remember a story of Teresa really putting herself out there along the side of the road while these cars drive by at 60 miles an hour.
I dare you to hit me.
I would call them walk audits though. 'Cause
Okay.
They're not road safety.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I think last year I was in, I was thinking of Atlanta Highway.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Ooh. Thank you, Daniel.
Mhm.
It's a little slow. Yeah, the best way to get a feel for the road's conditions is to walk alongside of that. Of course, it's not safe. That's kind of the point. All right, and of course, we continue to serve on corridor committees. I want to thank Mark for serving on Prince Avenue. Teresa, you've continued to serve on Atlanta Highway. And then Randy started serving on Lexington Road last year and continued to be our representative on that committee. We will get into the weeds about, there's not much more weeds to get into, but we will formalize our work plan at our next meeting in January. And so just to give y'all an idea, John, who's new to the commission, and Dale, the work plan does not encapsulate all the work that we're trying to do. It really is just to give the mayor and commission a heads up on policy, plan, law stuff that might come in front of them, because they don't want to see us work on something that is never going to pass or is not within ACC purview or something like that. So we do have to present that every year, but it will probably be these items, maybe something else, but it's usually pretty small. And then based on what the committee chairs had said and some other items, I had put these as our additional efforts: project prioritization, increasing our education communication, and implementing parts of the communication plan, and then that bike safe community application. So is there anything that I left off here for our annual report?
I think in the additional efforts, the safe routes to schools is kind of taken off with Sherelle.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. I do have an item to talk about that on today's agenda. Anything else? All right, with that, I will entertain a motion to approve, accept our annual report for 2022.
I'll make the motion.
All right, got a first from Teresa,
Second.
second from Dale. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. All right, so we have an annual report. Check.
Nicely done, thank you.
Yeah, I'd love to see like a staff annual report, but it would probably be like 100 pages.
I have a monthly report. That's
Yeah,
several pages long.
right.
It's just my performance, like the PMP at the end of the year.
Next are our officers. So we have a chair, vice chair, and secretary, and these serve 2 years. And the chair conducts meetings, sets the agenda, does special call meetings, is the official liaison with the mayor and commission, and the vice chair, similar delegated items, and then secretary keeps our minutes. Yeah, so for now, I've served as chair since Carol left. Teresa has served as our vice chair, and Blaine, you've been our secretary. So I don't think anyone reached out to me, but does anyone want to nominate themselves or someone else to serve in these roles, or does anyone want to self-nominate?
Just clarification, this is a 2-year.
Yeah.
Are all 3 of them on the same 2-year cycle? In other words, do they all come up for election at the same time?
Well, that's a good question, because Teresa and I were elected at the same time.
Yeah, but I didn't start out as vice chair. You started out as vice chair.
But I think what happened was when Carol left,
You became chair. I
And we
became
voted.
vice chair.
we voted though. We had a nomination.
Right.
Yes, so that was 2 years ago.
Right. So is there a limit to how long we can stay in these roles? Or is that just the term in case somebody wants to, like?
Yeah, I don't think there is.
There's not a limit,
Okay.
other than there's the commission limit, which is
Right.
no more than 2 consecutive terms, but those terms are 5 years each. I think it's phrased as 2 full consecutive terms. So I don't know if that, like if you started off with a 2-year appointment, then you get renewed for 5 years, then you still have the ability to do another full term after that. But yeah, I don't think there's a limit on officers. Dale, do you know how often they do elections for officers in Greenway Commission?
That's a good question, because we just did our annual meeting and we didn't elect officers, so.
So I guess every other year.
I don't know what I don't know.
Yeah. It seems like 2 years then. So
Yeah, it kind of coincidentally falls on our annual meeting time because this is like when, I think this is when Carol left, so we need to fill those roles. And Blaine, I think you're potentially filling out, no, I'm not sure about the secretary role.
I haven't been doing it. I mean, I've been doing it since I've been here, really. It's been a
Right.
year.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay. Is there anybody who wants to serve in a role who hasn't had the opportunity? Who wants to nominate?
It's really okay if you do.
I'll keep doing the secretary
Okay,
stuff.
yeah.
If somebody else feels
I want to
passionate.
find over secretary.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm,
If the current officers are willing to serve, I move that we close nominations and elect them by acclamation.
I'll second that.
oh man, I like this. Okay, further discussion.
I think everyone's good in the room. Everyone good virtually.
Yeah. Electing a slate. Wow.
I like it.
Dang.
All
We're
right.
doing a really good job.
Oh my gosh, so that's what that's about. All right, so I guess for the record, all those in favor of keeping Blaine as secretary, Teresa as vice chair, and Lauren, myself as chair, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign? All right.
Thank you for being willing to serve.
Happy to continue to upload documents to our drive and link them up. Great. Moving right along, our other major items, the Prince Avenue pilot project. So I will kick it over to Daniel. Survey closed last week right before Thanksgiving. Do you want
Yeah,
the hot seat?
you good. Yeah, so the survey closed and the data has been getting analyzed since the counts happened. They sent that out to staff and we are gonna be reviewing the findings tomorrow at the Prince Avenue meeting. Yeah. And so, Mark, you'll be one of the first to see that. And I have not had a chance to review those findings. During that meeting, I was going to check with the user group to make sure they were fine if I forwarded that along. And then, so that'll be, you'll get it's a memo from, I guess, our consultant with the findings. And the Prince Avenue user group, as long as they have quorum, should make a recommendation. That'll then be sent on to Mayor and Commission tomorrow. Stephen or Ronnie or Sherelle, have y'all been able to review the findings yet?
Briefly, yeah.
Okay, so I don't think there was anything like groundbreaking, like terrible.
Yeah, I
One
think
of
that's the best thing we
stood
can
out to me-
share is the, go ahead, Drew.
Sorry, go ahead. I was just going to say that one of the things that stood out to me was that level of service remained largely unaffected or improved at certain points.
So for folks who are
no-
watching at home, what does level of service mean? And maybe for some of us commissioners too.
Yeah, so level of service basically just is the amount of delay of cars. So for the most part, cars were not delayed at all or just a little bit at peak times. At other times, cars actually moved through the corridor faster. So on average, there was really no impact on how quickly cars were able to move through that section of the corridor.
So traffic was not slowed down through the pilot project study area.
No.
It's good to know. Stephen, you were going to say something?
I didn't see any major red flags with it, which is
good. I'm really glad that we did some studies along the kind of anticipated alternate routes, because we did see some changes in speeds and traffic loads on some of the other roadways. Just people changing their routes based on the pilot. But again, nothing that seems too alarming. So yeah, overall pretty good.
Great. Okay. And so we'll get a copy of.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm hoping I can, I'll get, we just want to make sure that the user group sees that first. And right now we received it as staff so that we can review and see if there's any red flags that need to be looked at or addressed. And I don't think that is the case. So during the user group meeting tomorrow at City Hall, they'll be reviewing it. And then after that, I'll make sure it's all right and send it up, because it's public information after that.
So Mark, are y'all trying, for the user group, trying to have a recommendation in the hands of the commission before their special call work session next week? So it's part of their
I think
packet?
that's the goal. Yeah, that was my sense from Diana, right?
Yeah, that's absolutely what. There's not necessarily a staff recommendation. There's a user group recommendation. Some staff are on that user group as voting members. There's a placeholder there for the recommendation once we get that. So Diana's been working on the agenda.
Mark, how soon will y'all have your letter to them?
I don't know. I don't know. We're just meeting tomorrow at 3 o'clock, I think.
The recommendation will be in the agenda item. So I don't know that it's a letter.
We'll be voting on it tomorrow during the meeting, I assume.
Yes.
So we'll have that vote. You're right. I don't know if there's a letter that goes along with that.
It'll just be a recommendation.
Okay,
Like
recommendation.
part of Diana's presentation to the mayor and commission during the work session, one of the slides will be the user group voted to approve.
Yeah, with the way the agendas work, it's basically like, here is all the information, and at the bottom, it's like staff recommendation is option A, and then it says option A is user group approved, blah, 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 and recommends this. And then they have the option to also deny the recommendation, and they have the option for a CDO, commission defined option.
All right.
So that's generally how that.
Okay, so I think I want to figure this out, because I know that we want to get a letter to the mayor and commission about this project. And we don't have, all the information yet. They haven't asked us for a recommendation, but we want to give a letter. So is it then appropriate for the chair to write a letter? Or would it be helpful if we decided on a recommendation? But the user group, y'all are going to decide. It's not necessarily up or down, right? It's not necessarily keep or toss. You have something specific, right?
I think it's up or down.
There's
I'm
a
sure.
few talking
Over
points.
Daniel, I don't know.
Yeah, there's I'm trying to pull up the agenda right now, but I believe there is the overall recommendation. There's also some alternatives in terms of permanent materials that they're discussing, whether we I don't think we are looking at a possibility of keeping the zippers in their current configuration. So one option is to alter the configuration so they're less damaging. That would be adding in Bs. So it's a BAB configuration, which is more expensive, and using chemical adhesive and correct size washers. Another option is like concrete barriers. And then Stephen, is there another one I'm thinking that I'm missing? You might have to step away.
Okay.
So there's going to be some discussion about that. So there will be a recommendation from the user group, and ultimately, like the main recommendation is keep or not keep. And based on the data that we've seen, there wouldn't be, with all of the, safety increases and stuff like that, I don't see any reason why it would go the other way.
Okay, so then would it be most effectual for this group to have a letter that says keep the configuration. Here's the reasons why, which will have the data and some talking points, and I would write that up.
And I think also they can be, you can talk about fitting it into the larger plan, around Barber Street and connectivity with downtown, et cetera.
I think independent from that user group, y'all can make your recommendation and decide today if, you've all ridden the corridor, experienced it, you know what it's like. Would you rather it be how it is right now or how it was 2 months ago? And
Do you think that that's a strong enough thing to say?
I would say you start it that way, and then in the meantime, I'll be able to send you the data so you can have more concrete numbers to add to it. But if that's what, as a commission, you guys want to vote to write a letter of support, I think you could do that vote today, and then we could just, I've seen it through email of hey, here's the draft of the email or of the letter. Let me know if anyone has changes.
Okay.
So the final letter doesn't have to be voted on before you submit it, but as long as everyone is on board with support, not everyone, but majority.
Yes. So what do y'all think of that approach of taking a vote to authorize me to write a letter in support of the project? Do you feel comfortable with that?
So moved.
Yep.
All right, so got a first from Dale, second from Randy. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All right, I will produce a letter in support of the Prince Avenue pilot project. Prince Avenue corridor, arguably the most studied corridor in Athens-Clarke County. Yes, Mark?
Yeah, one other thing, there are other opportunities for improving safety in the other part of that corridor. For example, where there's angle parking now, making that parallel parking with a protected bike lane, creating the same configuration in front of Care Medical. There are some opportunities. It's not perfect, but it's an opportunity to incrementally improve safety, at least in parts of that stretch. It's far from perfect, but
okay.
I think it's so, as someone who has ridden a lot of times from, now to work from Pulaski all the way to the health science campus, it's night and day in terms of comfort and enjoyment.
It really is. It really is. So then the letter could say something like, in support and any additional safety recommendations.
Yeah.
I think there will be a good opportunity for that
when we get
next month or two. Because we're gathering some after the vote, and once we know how that is, we're going to be sending something along to GDOT probably, because they have a PI number, the project identifying number. That is a project they're working on, and I think we could submit something like that with a letter of support separately. But I think one of the most important things to mention in that would be, hey, this is permanent. We voted to make this permanent in Athens-Clarke County, and here's some ideas about how we could keep this going and move it into that. And I think with enough, with the community buy-in, then I think, because right now GDOT hears a lot of voices saying, we don't want that, we don't want a 3-lane, we don't need bike lanes out there. And so we just kind of want to counter that with, here are the voices from the community saying we do want that. So that's kind of my next steps. So I don't know that we need to include it in this letter, but it'd be good to go ahead and rough out those ideas so they'd be ready for a letter in the next month or two.
Okay. Right.
My 2 cents.
Right. Well, be on the lookout for a draft letter in the next couple days, probably this week. And I will be at that, probably the work session and the vote. I think because the public can go to the work sessions. So I will be there.
It's a special call, right?
Special call work session.
Can't remember if they're gonna take public input at both, but you could show up, I think.
I'll show up
anyone can show up.
unless y'all think that it would not help, because sometimes it might not help. All right, moving on. Doing pretty good on time. Safe routes to schools. So James, you and Sherelle have been having some really good meetings. You want to fill us in, and Sherelle, feel free to chime in.
Yeah, we had a good meeting with our community school organizers, with Sherelle and our other community people who were involved in that department. Soraya Santos Felgenhauer and Alex Borges were there as well. And there's some really good energy and synergy around this project because the schools that they've chosen are really high impact schools. Like Alps, for example, if we work on safe routes to Alps, you work on safe routes to Alps, Clarke Middle, and Clarke Central. The same goes for Gaines Elementary because it's right next door to Hillsman. Cedar Shoals is right down the street. We talked a lot about that intersection of Cedar Shoals and Barnett Shoals, improving walking access and biking access there. And if you improve that intersection, you improve, the whole three school corridor. So there's some really nice energy there. And there's also our community school organizers are assigned to more than one school. And in 2 cases, the same CSO is assigned to 2 of the schools within that 5. So you're only working with 3 CSOs, which, kind of tightens the group, so to speak. And then we also have another CSO who works with Chase Street, who's already done a lot of good safe routes to schools work, Omar Reed. So he kind of has a blueprint of how to organize it. And when he spoke, he did like all of the groundwork by himself. He got all of the players at the table. He even got people from Pilgrim's Pride down the street to be involved in their safe routes to school program. And I really had no idea he was doing all of this just like by himself.
Wow, okay.
I was like, I do this kind of work. And he's like, oh, really? I just didn't even know. He kind of just took it on himself and ran with it, which is awesome. So now we kind of have a blueprint on how to do this. But I mean, Sherelle is doing much bigger work with trying to secure GDOT funding for the actual Safe Routes to Schools program, which would be amazing.
Sherelle, you want to chime in?
I thought that was a great update. Yeah, going well. It was honestly the best meeting I have been to in years. They were so excited about it. They were so happy that we wanted to come out and make sure that the roads around their schools were safe. It had just such a good energy, and it was nice to be working with people who were just absolutely over the moon that we wanted them to be involved in it. So it was really cool.
Great. What are next steps? You guys will just planning.
Right.
Well,
we have, you go ahead, Sherelle. I know we have some planning meetings coming up.
Yeah, we'll meet with the the principal, vice principal of each school. Each of the community organizers is kind of reaching out and finding the contacts for us. I'll reach back out to them this week, and then we'll plan out the actual walking route, and then we will get the audit on the books. And I will let you know when we have dates, because we would love to have at least one representative from Athens in Motion at the walk if possible.
Oh man, I would love to be there with a bunch of kids walking to school. Yeah, okay, well, keep us posted, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be there. Yeah.
This is great news. I mean, when a child feels empowered and when a child is safe enough to walk to school, then everyone is safe, or 99% of people,
Yes.
right?
And the thing with Chase is there's already such a huge walking population already, but how do we encourage that at all of our schools?
Yes.
For our schools to truly be community schools, every kid needs to be able to safely walk to school from any neighborhood. And we're so far from that.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
We used to have a lot more neighborhood schools too, and now. Right. Well, I am thrilled about this development. I can't wait to hear more. And Sherelle, thank you for running on that. And yeah, we'll come back to you in a few minutes for more staff updates. But first, we'll move into, the big staff update. So we're doing pretty good on time. So what we'll do is we'll have Todd and then Sherelle and then Daniel, and that will be about 45 minutes total, and then we'll move into committee updates. So I will turn the mic over to Todd. I'm gonna put Todd on the big screen for those who are here in person.
Okay, I'm gonna share my screen. Quick. You're seeing the my PowerPoint.
Yes.
Okay. Just a quick update. The the bridge over Trail Creek project. They're progressing. They're a little slow, but it's going. It looks like it's gonna be February now when they get the wooden structure and all complete, and it'll be open in February. Um, the goal is to try to get the concrete and asphalt work done on Poplar Street so that we can reopen the Poplar Street roadway area. It's supposed to be the end of this month, but it looks like it may roll right into the very beginning of December, but it should be sometime really soon that they should have that part done. The handrails are up and on the concrete and steel portion of the bridge, and the decking's down. So it's just a matter of getting that wooden section built. So, and then the cemetery trail, of course, I was not able to attend last month, but it opened last month, and everybody's been happy with it. So it's up and going. And then the Greenway Cars Creek trail segment, that one, the bid is has been received and everything, and so we're just waiting on mayor and commission to approve the construction contract. So, and then Firefly Trail expansion, they're proceeding with acquiring easement still and doing the plans. The Firefly Trail East Broad Street Trail improvements. It's under construction. They finished up the stormwater upgrades that serve the downtown projects. Georgia Power came along and kind of surprised us and said we're going to bury the power lines as well. So we will be able to get rid of the wires and it'll look nice right here, the poles and everything. And then the contractor is supposed to start installing the bike access path that ties into the bike lane, the site furniture, and the landscape, all within the. It shouldn't only it would be done in 2 weeks, but we're waiting on Georgia Power to finish all their boring and stuff. So we got to get a schedule from Georgia Power on when all that's going to be completed. Hopefully, it's going to be completed this month. So that'll be something. And then the two art projects on the Greenway. They've selected the artists for both projects for the East Campus Connector and the North Laconia Access Road, and it's probably a spring 2023 installation for those two projects. And then we also have gotten an email. This will tie a little bit into Daniel's North Avenue. I don't know if he got it as well, but it looks like the grant that we applied for the Greenway portion, it looks like we're probably going to wind up getting it. They were asking some final questions about numbers and stuff that the SPLOST office responded to this week. So that's good news for.
What is that for again?
It's for
That was a TA grant that we wrote on behalf of Leisure Services. I had not heard that. Thank you for that update, Todd.
Yeah.
Can you just hit on the details?
Yeah, so GDOT has a transportation alternative grant program. They have a lot of money that can go towards transportation alternative projects, and it's called TA grant. And I think somebody from, it was Alan in Maycourts contacted us and told us about it. And we had worked with SPLOST. Originally, a consultant was working on it, but we kind of had to pick it up and carry it across the finish line due to some vacations and staff shortages and stuff like that. So I want to say we applied in June or July, maybe.
Yeah.
And I think you guys reviewed it, right? I can't remember. I just kind of forward all the grant applications to y'all.
Yeah, wait, so
For copy
what will
editing.
this potentially do?
So this essentially doubles the money that they have to build the greenway between Dudley Park and the current MLK section.
Perfect. Okay, that's what I was hoping.
Sorry, that's probably.
So the MLK, so the T-Splosh dollars.
Yeah, we had like I don't remember how many, I think 2.5 or
Yeah,
something.
that sounds right.
But at the time, it hadn't been voted on. So we weren't positive of that. So we used some of that matching, basically get the grant. And then if that is the case, then we could use it to basically improve the design of that connection to make sure it fully connects.
Very cool. Yeah. That's huge.
That was in the Oconee River's green book when, right, that was in y'all's final report. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Okay, so we'll have connection along MLK connecting in under the bridge.
Yeah, we're gonna rip out the bridge because
Right,
that is funded.
That's North Avenue.
Yeah, North Avenue.
And connect to that segment, that's T-Splosh 2018, and connect, we'll be able to seamlessly sort of connect to the multi-use path for the North Ave, right?
Yeah, it's the last gap in the entire main Greenway stem. So essentially you'll be able to start up at Nature Center and stay on the trail off the road all the way down to College Station Road or even Barnett Shoals Road.
Right.
Right around there.
Okay, so Todd, you said they're asking for numbers, so we think that we might be getting it.
Yeah, they sent us an email asking us to confirm, because Derek, instead of doing an 80-20 match, he did 80-25. So they were just asking about that kind of information and everything. So it'll be the next step. It looks like from what Derek is saying in the email is just when can they award the money, the construction funding, when will that come and everything. So the total project budget was right around $3 million is what, with the TA funds for construction of $2.272 million. So like Daniel said, it more than doubles that money.
Yeah.
So we're close. We hopefully they will give us award it December. So
Todd, if you need, bring Ronnie at least, or myself, in with, if they have more questions, because some of the questions surrounding construction will be with that bridge. We kind of wrote it as if the bridge might be replaced or it might not. And so with it being replaced, we'll need to make sure that we orchestrate those two construction schedules.
yeah, I'll forward this email to you and Ronnie, just
Thank
so
you.
that y'all can see what Derek, his response.
Add Steven on there too.
Okay.
Okay.
Add me on there too. I want to see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Todd. Was there anything else?
That's it.
Any questions from the commission? Todd just always brings the good news. Thank you, Todd.
Yep.
And next up is Sherelle. And Sherelle, you had sent a report. Let me get a full screen mode here because I can pull that up.
That acts real quick.
Yeah. Did anyone have any questions about the report overall?
I did, but it was related to the safe routes to school part. There was a phrase in there called a walk shed. Is that like watershed, but walking in reference to routes?
Yeah. So there's a buffer, which would be like a half-mile buffer as the crow flies, or there's a walk shed, which is half a mile, but it only measures it based on where you can actually walk, where the roads actually go. And that's important when there's a lack of connectivity. The half a mile walk might be a lot shorter than what a half a mile buffer would suggest.
Okay. Yeah, any questions? And sure, I'll let you go over this, but I did want to see if there was anything in particular y'all wanted to focus on.
I'm glad to see that you've done that PIO website training, because Athens in Motion is trying to get better at that sort of thing, and we want to use all of our resources. So, thank you.
Happy to serve as a resource. If there's not specific questions, if you want to go down to the speed management toolkit, Lauren. This is the one thing, seeing how Randy did the crosswalk policy, and just what a fruitful conversation that was. I think when the policy committee is done working on the crosswalk toolkit or the crosswalk policy, I'd like to have y'all do a similar process with the speed management toolkit, building off of the one that I've already created.
Okay.
So we can table it for now, but it's something that I'd love to bring you guys in on, and when you're done with the crosswalk policy. I don't want to inundate you with work.
Thank you. Yeah, we can add that to the list. Sure.
Are you able to hear Randy okay?
Yes.
Okay,
Sorry.
great. I just want to make sure.
But my throat is really sore because I have the flu.
Yeah, I did just want to check because I wasn't sure how great our mics were in here. It seems like they're pretty great. Okay. Nice. Questions about that? Cheryl, what else would you like to highlight from your report this month?
I think the only other thing is that the local road safety report, I finished for the most part writing the first draft of it, and I'm waiting for staff review. And once that is finished, we are going to go into a like community stakeholder portion where we will be working on coming up with solutions for the identified problem areas. So that's something Athens in Motion will again probably be assisting with.
Great.
But at the moment, you guys don't need to focus on it or anything. But soon I will be sending you guys a draft to review.
Okay, that's exciting. I didn't, being on this commission, I've learned about so many plans and policies and ways to have an impact. And I just think about like how much we were just not able to do because we didn't have these staff positions. So Sherelle, I'm just thrilled you're working on this. And yes, please let us know how we can support you as a commission.
Thank you. Yeah, that's my only update though. So if you guys have other questions, feel free to email me.
Yeah, and Daniel and Sherelle, will y'all keep us posted on things that we might need to, that might need to come from us that would have to end up in our work plan as a commission? Because that's maybe something that I'll want to keep track of so we don't surprise them. Now, if it's coming from staff and you just want our support, that's different. But if it's best served coming from the commission, we'll want some of this to end up on the work plan.
Yeah, I think we can give you a comprehensive list of.
Okay.
I think we have probably the next year planned out.
Wow. Thanks for
the stuff. Probably.
Anyone who is not in the room have questions or is there anyone else who would like additional information about what Sherelle is working on? Well, thank you, Sherelle, and thanks for this this report. I think it's really helpful to see it written out. And yeah, we'll take more things like this next month, and I'll get with you and Daniel on what would best serve the commission. But this is great. It's really nice. Very exciting. All right, and moving on to our bike, pedestrian, and safety coordinator. Daniel, do you want me to pull up the project updates or what?
Yeah, that one looks good.
Okay.
It looks funny. My computer, it just froze, so. All right, so the Cherokee Road multi-use path. We've been at 85% completion on those plans for a while, and we just had a kickoff meeting on November 22nd with a consultant. We've decided to expand the scope of that project to connect that segment all the way to the intersection. So one of the issues originally was that when the project was originally brought forth, it was a sidewalk gap project. So the sidewalk kind of left off next to, I think, the shipping container, or not shipping container, but storage container business. And the project proposed connecting sidewalks out to the intersection of Beaver Dam Road. And then during mayor and commission approval, I believe they did a commission defined option that converted it to a multi-use path, but they did not change the scope of that. So what that resulted in was in our construction drawings, the multi-use path starting at the end of the sidewalk, and there's just like a few hundred feet between that and the intersection. Right. So essentially we're expanding the scope to connect all the way to that intersection on Lexington. And, there's going to be a couple concepts for that. And so we're working with a consultant to work on those concepts. We'll bring it forward to you guys. And at that time, we'll probably get based on which concept is chosen and how the money all works together, we'll get a recommendation from you guys, since you're the user group for the bike and pedestrian funds and the T-Splosh 18 and probably the T-Splosh 22. So that way, if it's partially paid for out of the Lexington Road corridor, since it does touch that intersection, those will be all questions that we need to figure out. Or if we just fully pay for it out of the bike and pedestrian funds. So.
Yeah, just pulling up Cherokee Road, so take a look at it. Multi-use path from here until here?
The existing extent, for the plan goes from where your house is all the way back in, almost like just right across the street from Lowe's. So if you zoom in on that intersection, so let's see if I can get to where I can see it. Yeah, I think it's right around the self-storage, or maybe even at Fun Galaxy Athens. The multi-use path starts just past those businesses. So we really wanted to bring it all the way down to the intersection for future connectivity. Questions about that?
Are there other improvements, more lightweight improvements that could be made at the east, sort of northeast end to continue on, like bike lanes, protected bike lanes, anything like that?
We have some future phases of Cherokee Road that are planned. And I know there was also there was a bike and pedestrian master plan in Winterville that passed recently. And one of the pieces of feedback I gave them was that we were working on a path out Cherokee. So I think this plugs into that.
Okay. Yeah.
So I think it's right now that's like a tier, because I think originally this might have been like a tier 2 bike, or was it?
Further up. Well, this was one of the 5 recommended projects, Kickstart projects in the plan, I believe.
So, but originally y'all recommended just sidewalks only.
Tier 1 sidewalks.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was for bikes, actually.
Because the challenge from that intersection at Beaver Dam on up is Cherokee Road is really narrow. Really
It
narrow.
just feels disconnected right now, and
Oh, I
it'd be
agree.
nice if we could it's good to know there's people thinking about
Yeah.
So,
extending that.
so that section that we actually developed the plans for, that was a tier 2 bike facility. And then the section that connects that up to Winterville is a tier 3. And actually here, I'll share, sorry if I.
Yeah, you can.
So jumping ahead a little bit, but here's the map. So this is the bike tiers. So you can see there's a bike tier 1 in Winterville. All right. So green is tier 2, red is tier 3, blue is tier 1. So, and then once we run our reanalysis, the 5-year update, these will likely all change. But yeah, as far as pedestrian tiers go, pedestrian, those are both tier 1 with, it's also tier 3 in the center. So right now it kind of stops at Beaver Dam Road.
Daniel, could you zoom in on the part of the map that you're talking about?
So this is the project site.
Just be great if there was a way to get up to the Firefly, eventually, someday.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and Lexington, our project for Lexington should connect into the Firefly Trail.
Yeah. Over here.
Those runways, right? They barely, they're not used that often.
The what?
The runways, we could just.
Oh yeah, sure.
All that cement sitting there.
Actually, Teresa and I learned like that airport is used a lot, like 80 flights.
No, I know, we're in the flight path, so we have to.
Yeah. So it gets more use than you realize.
Certainly on game day.
Yeah, mainly on game day, but also, on other days too.
Okay, we won't use it as a bike path.
Any other questions regarding Cherokee Road? Cool. Riverbend Road, we just reviewed, I just was able to review the plans. Provided comments on that, mostly focusing on better transition from road to the bike facilities, adding in some raised crosswalks where possible, some signage, some marking issues, safety improvements. Me and Sherelle looked through those, and then we have submitted that to our engineering and design division, and I have asked Ronnie if we could maybe do a field site visit with them to review the plans fully. Just because once we get 85% plans submitted, then we'll be able to start the next process. But I want to make sure that what we have designed is going to be suitable. Did I cover that, Ronnie?
Yes, sir. You did. Good job.
So we'll go ahead and switch over to you now for Barber Street.
Wait, any questions about
sorry.
Riverbend Road? Sorry.
Riverbend Road?
Is that for the entire stretch of Riverbend or?
No, so the section that was finalized was, so I'll pull up this. The two segments that are actually being constructed are from Riverbend Parkway up to College Station Road here. And then they're retaining the current bike lanes down to this neighborhood, I believe. Yeah, right. Yeah. One of these two, I think it might be this one. And from there to Millage, that multi-use path, it's on the south side, and they are removing the bike lanes from the road in those two locations.
Okay.
So it'll switch multi-use path to bike lane to multi-use path. So that's where, and especially coming up from Millage, if you're heading north, like in the road,
Yeah.
and you want to get onto the multi-use path, there was not really a good transition there. So I'm trying to get the designer to think more about how are you moving from surrounding infrastructure, like on-street biking, onto a path. Instead of just the traditional curb cut, hop in the crosswalk and then walk your bike across, that kind of thing. So, yeah.
So we are removing the bike lanes from Riverbend to College Station.
Yes, that was part of the commission defined option for what they voted for. That was explicitly stated.
And specifically in one direction, just to confirm, on one direction, one side of the road, the side of the multi-use path, the bike facility, the existing one, is going away. On the other side of the road, which is traveling southwest, and near by the loop, that one would be widened to 5 feet wide. Currently, it's between 4 and 5, and sometimes 3.5. That would be 5 feet wide, and will be maintained. That bike lane will be maintained throughout.
Thank you, Ronnie. I forgot about that. So they're bringing the southbound lane up to standard and taking away the northbound lane in lieu of the multi-use path.
So the multi-use path is on the side of the road that Riverbend Parkway feeds into it.
Yes.
Okay. This isn't, Dale, this is another one of our 5 projects that was recommended when Athens in Motion was first written. So that's kind of where we are with that.
Thank you.
And I believe this is the one, we are trying to move this into construction as soon as possible. This one is the least complicated to really get going. So we're trying to have some on the ground work from the Athens Motion Plan. So.
Okay. Is it? I thought this one was really complicated because it has all those retaining walls and utility lines. Man,
Maybe it's
this is
just
one of the
furthest
easy
along.
ones. Oh my gosh, this is easy. I don't know. All right, sorry, I just wanted, I had some questions.
Yeah.
Barber Street.
So Ronnie, other than, do you have an estimate for when we will be?
Yes, so I've communicated with Cynthia, a work session tentatively in February, followed by a February-March agenda for a concept approval, recommending, more likely to recommend Athens in Motion preferred alternative to move forward into preliminary engineering. At this point, we've concluded our round 2 of public engagement, and this was more of a targeted public engagement just to make sure we have feedback from directly impacted property owners. And this is specific and needed for any project of this magnitude, is that when we get to a right-of-way acquisition and easements, property owners should have been formally informed and given the opportunity to respond. I noticed I didn't see a written response from one major property owner. I say one major because they own 9 properties along Barber Street, and we just needed that recorded feedback from them. At this point, I will refrain from stating what was the feedback from the property owner. I will include all feedback together in one package. We will work with Daniel to get all the feedback together and clean it up and send it forward to Mayor and Commission before the work session that is anticipated in February. But that's what we have so far on Barber Street.
Okay, thank you, Ronnie. And so that, what you're going to present to Mayor and Commission in February is just segment 4 from Boulevard to Prince Avenue, right?
We will be presenting actually the entire project, and we will be providing update on what happened since we provided or we presented to them in a work session. It was 4 segments. What have we done since then, and what are the next steps? the concept approval would be for the entire project, I should say, for all 4 segments.
Great. So yeah, to fill in the commission, again, we had a lot of special called meetings about Barber Street last year and one this year. So this will be a new commission will be seated, and some of the feedback that we heard before, those commissioners aren't there anymore. So there might have to be some education or some additional communication and conversations going on here. So just keep that in mind. We might have more special called meetings of Barber Street this year, in case you were missing those. So if it ever feels like, okay, we've already talked about this, there's a reason why. So we'll have some new elected officials on board, some new commissioners, and we look forward to talking with them about these great plans for Barber Street to improve connectivity and safety. And Ronnie, thank you for being so thorough and getting input from the people who are impacted as far as like their property is concerned. That's important. Also look forward to making the corridor safe for all of us who pass through there every day.
Yeah, I've had, this summer, I had the opportunity to ride that segment forward several times. I felt less comfortable riding that than I did Prince before the changes. It's really tight and gets down, it almost feels like you're riding on a one lane and you're avoiding traffic coming in the opposite direction to you. It was terrifying. I don't ride it on anymore.
Yeah, I remember sailing in that way to Athens from Jackson County. You have to slow down pretty quick.
Yeah, that's segment 4 right there. Any other questions?
Okay. Next project, you want me to? Next item.
The next item, I believe, is North Avenue.
That's great.
Okay, thank you. Ronnie, do you want to talk about?
Yeah. Sure. North Avenue is the great news, right? This is just scratching the surface with what we have to do next. Initial kickoff meeting with GDOT took place, and the Federal Highway Administration on this project was conducted this Monday. We've learned in this meeting a little bit more about what the schedule looked like, what is the award letter means to us, and what can we do to really meet the conditions of the award letter. We continue to better understand these terms. They, in short description, I would say a little bit very cramped schedule and a bit unattainable. However, there are ways that we may be able to meet those deadlines set by the Federal Highway Administration award letter. And as we continue to talk to them, we'll give you guys updates. But again, the good news, yes, we are awarded a grant, one of the largest in the area and the region. We're happy to receive it, and we are committed to everything we can, from staff to resources, to make sure we meet the deadline stated. The one deadline that was listed on the grant award letter was September 30th of 2026. It uses the word obligated funds. That means we need to reach complete design, final design plans, and have completed right-of-way phase following the plan development process, which is a GDOT process that follows certain guidelines and steps. It's a very thorough process to make sure we follow federal guidelines. That gives us, 4 years from, a little bit less than 4 years from today, and it's, for a project this size, it's probably near impossible to reach. But what we also know, the Federal Highway Administration is, with these grants, their intent is to help communities, not to penalize them. So while they cannot confirm that they can extend the schedule, they do share with us that, the program is to award communities and to award competitive grants, but not to penalize you guys. However, we strongly recommend that you do everything you can to kickstart the project, begin the planning phase, the easy task, as they call it, from public engagement to environmental research and documentation of the project. Things that, like I said, they call it easy steps. And so that's where we are, and that's what we are working on. This is very fluid at the moment, but nothing to be concerned about. It's something to be just taking it seriously and show good faith effort to meet these deadlines and schedules set forth by the Federal Highway Administration.
Yeah, I think we have the holy trinity of people to work with. We've got the river, we've got the railroad, and we have GDOT, the loop. So,
Yeah, do we have to, utilities and all that stuff? We've got everything.
yeah, just everything's in there. I mean,
Okay.
because there's just coordination with each of those. There's like
Yeah.
NEPA because it crosses a river. Like there's a whole phase of that with EPA.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes.
Yeah, so as I look over there and the connection, there's a potential connection from North Avenue down to Trail Creek Park
Yes.
in terms of connectivity. I'm always kind of thinking about connectivity. So is that something, I've never ridden or driven that stretch. I don't know what it looks like or there's topography or what.
Sidewalk on
There's sidewalk.
4th Street and
There's a railroad between the apartments back there and the actual park. That's
Strickland's what I'm talking about, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, so Strickland to First, that is something we did include that as a potential connection.
Okay.
And there is a funded greenway project in this area that connects Trail Creek Park across the railroad up to 4th Street. So I'm hoping that with some creative grant writing, we could potentially leverage those funds in a future round of TA grant to double that. And but that's part of this. They'll have to coordinate with CSX too. They're not just going to be able to like run a trail across the railroad. There's no current crossing there, so they'll have to go over or under.
They won't even let us go under by the Pulaski connector.
Right. Yeah.
There's
And
already an opening.
yeah, that's because they are, I think, using that as like a bargaining chip. So there's a whole series of talks about railroad coordination that I've been having. So I'm hoping that we can get some traction with, if we take out some of the current railroad crossings, maybe on Jefferson, and make it safer over there. They love it when you take out railroad crossings. And so I'm hoping that with that, we could then maybe see if that helps with getting something like this, like a connection. But we'll see.
yeah, so Daniel, you're gonna take him out for a beer, be like, so what if we just take out this railroad crossing and do this? And here, have a drink. Right? Is that what those meetings are about?
If only.
And along those lines too, of connections from continuing past Willow up North Avenue to North Thomas. That's a bugger of a ride on your bicycle because it's uphill, under the bridge, kind of blind turn.
Not sure where we're.
Yeah, so Willow.
So if you're going from Willow into town.
Okay.
You hit North Thomas.
Oh, North Thomas.
That crazy little intersection.
Under the
railroad bridge.
That is the one that had a train crash into it. They're doing something. They're rebuilding.
No. It's
North Ave.
yeah,
That's
from
South Thomas.
yes.
You're talking about
I'm talking at the end of the North Ave project.
Yeah.
So yeah, that piece right there.
I did see something on, I think it was like on Instagram. So it's like you put your foot on it and it's an elevator.
Oh yeah, there's one in Italy. There's one in Scandinavia.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah.
No, at the end of the Firefly going into downtown, that's
That one too.
Yeah. We'll just have them all over town. That'd be.
Well, even
seriously, I think helping people get that last bit, because that's a big barrier. People are going to say, "Look, get off their bike." They could do that, but
Well,
I told Daniel we needed one all the way up North Ave.
Yeah, on both ends.
Randy, what were you gonna say?
I say even if there's this bike lane or just some even sharrows, there's nothing there right now.
Yeah, and you'll see this blue tier one, once that is existing and we rerun the analysis, then this will likely turn into a tier one. Right now the green is tier two. So, yeah, we are looking at, that connectivity. And I mean, as of right now, it ties into Willow, which then you could technically take East Broad. But, if you look at let's see, I got it.
And that's going to be a greenway because we just got the funding.
Yeah. This is our existing facilities. And so, the more we build, there's still going to be more fragments to connect. So
True.
But yeah, hopefully get it all tied. No update on the other two, Jefferson River Road or Hawthorne.
Ronnie, thank you for that update.
No problem. You're welcome.
What's next in my thing?
Bike-friendly community application?
Yes. So, Bike Friendly America, this is, I'm not going to pull up the whole application, but I've been filling it out over the summer and this past fall. So, my plan is to go through with a fine-tooth comb, and then we can bring this to the data committee. And once I go through it, I'm going to go ahead and package all of the unknowns. Like there's some areas where it's like, we need to talk to the schools for answers to this. And we need to talk to, planning office for answers to this. And so that's kind of what we're, at this stage, it's like, what are we currently doing? And then we can reapply every year if we wanted to. We don't have to wait the full 4 years. And so that'll make it a lot easier to just keep the application up to date, because you don't have as much data to get going. And they'll review with us and give us pointers on what we need to do to, get a higher rank. So right now we're bronze. We're hoping that we can get silver, but it's not always possible. And then this is the Athens in Motion working map. So I just put this together, but we're about to publish our data set, which will make it permanent. And, this is kind of the bike tier, but if you look at the proposed bike network right now, this is kind of what that looks like. And, there's a legend for it, but essentially in this 5-year update, I have kind of an outline typed out for what we're going to be doing. If I can find it, like this. So we need to, I need you guys, we have about 6 months left before this is really officially done. So I'm going to put up a PDF of the Athens in Motion plan that we can comment on. And I think it would be helpful if we all commented on the same plan. Sherelle and I talked about that earlier, and she gave me that idea. And I think that would be really great to just, so that everybody can kind of respond to one another. And if we could get feedback on, like, comments on that, essentially redlining the plan. This is the first time that we've had a chance as a commission to actually edit the plan. The plan is what created the Athens in Motion Commission. It created my job. And so this first 5-year update might be the biggest update, because there might be a lot of things that we need to change now that we have a lot more traction. So I guess my question to y'all is, when do you want to start and finish reviewing that plan? Like, I was thinking if we could have the edits by our January meeting, like, how do y'all feel about basically editing, providing comments over the holidays and into January? Does that seem like a good timeline?
I think that realistically we can set a January meeting deadline, but probably won't look at it until January. I'm just gonna guess that people will be traveling.
Yeah.
But I mean, for some folks, I know it's like, oh, this is my time to do some things, but it's usually another backlog that you're looking at. What do you guys think? Do you feel like we could have some comments to Daniel by our January meeting?
Are we looking at the whole book or are we looking at something that we put out there?
It'll be the whole plan. So this first step is kind of look through the plan, add a comment with like, hey, this data seems out of date, or this doesn't seem like it really dove in deep enough. So like our safety section, there's one heat map. Sherelle and I are gonna be putting comments in there as well. I have a bunch of comments I'm gonna add, but expanding out the safety analysis, that's something that we did not do before because we didn't have access to that data. And so some of these are going to be very big ticket items where, like for instance, what is equity? Does our equity definition and our goal for equity, does it really fully encompass what that needs to be? Like that might, rather than like communicating back and forth through the document on that, that might be a good like agenda item on the Projects and Policy Committee, or even the Athens in Motion Commission as a whole. Defining what our overall goals are, those kind of things. So do we have different goals from what's laid out, or have they changed, or is there just a better way to state them? And then we're going to be looking through there's short, medium, and long-term goals. So, we also need to figure out how do we package and say, this is what we've accomplished in the last 5 years. Here are our new short-term goals and our new medium. Like, does everything shift up, or are there some things that were short-term that never got done? And so do we need to just decide if this is actually a short-term, or maybe it becomes a long-term if it's not really something we can attain? And also, if you notice there's a misspelling, throw a comment in there, like really any kind of edit. And then I can take that and we can compile it after our January meeting, if that's our deadline, and get that into a working document that's a draft. And then we can start moving forward with these other bullet points, which I can go into, or if we can talk more about this if you want.
Yeah.
What's the overall due date for this document or submission?
It was originally approved in August of 2027.
Hello.
Or 18.
Welcome.
2018, I think. So the goal for 5-year update would be August 2023. But, sometimes these things take longer, and that's all right.
Okay, so what do you think if we definitely do the first part? So if you can get us, or if we have a report, a copy that you want us to work from, we can start commenting definitely in January, or have that by January of what's there. As far as like expanding or adding new projects, I don't know if we're gonna, or the criteria updates, I don't know if we're gonna get through that in January.
No, so this is just for this first bit here.
Okay.
I'm thinking if I have, so I guess my question is, do y'all want me to create that link by January 1st or like next week? Like, do any of y'all want to go ahead and get started on putting your comments in? Or you go with January?
January.
Cool. New year, new start,
Yeah.
new comments. Sounds good.
Yes.
This next thing, project network updates. I'm going to be working on this internally with staff this December. So
We're running low on time, Daniel.
cool. So basically expanding or adding new projects, and then having a recommendation. These might be committee meetings. So the projects and policy, I don't know if we want to split out projects from policy and have 2 separate committees while we're doing this update, or if we want to have maybe an Athens in Motion Commission, or Athens Motion Plan Committee. I don't know. I mean, I think we can split it between the committees, but I know earlier we were talking about there's the crosswalk policy, there's, the one, the speed tool management toolkit. So it might just be that some of these get put on hold until we get this done, and we'll bring things ad hoc.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Cool.
Not sure how we can man 2 you'd probably end up having the same people anyway, so.
It would be too confusing to have all of those in the same thing, so. Criteria updates will be through data committee. We talked about that before. And then once we get that, we'll be able to redo a lot of the analyses and mapping. We want to wait until after we get the project network and the criteria determined, because the analyses might change based on those things. And then public engagement will be something that kind of goes on throughout the duration of this. I think we should go ahead and get started with some funds to kick off the public engagement map. I had a question for Stephen. Do we have funds that we could use to go ahead and do that? To get the
need.
There was an estimate that ranged from like 6,000 to 30,000 based on how much we get the consultant to do.
Okay. I'm sure we can find something in the middle there, yeah.
Okay. If not, maybe that's something that if y'all need to spend out some of your budget, we can find a way that y'all could kick in on it as well. And then that's basically it. It's my update. Any questions?
So we got to focus on the plan.
Among other things, yes.
Okay, so we can be mindful of the things that we're giving Daniel and Sherelle to do next 6 months. All right, yeah, running a little bit behind, but we started late. And I think, so that was all your staff updates?
Yeah, I had some other stuff, but it's not a big deal.
Okay. We'll talk about like front loading, that kind of stuff, because I don't want you to feel rushed through something like that where you really need like our input on a timeline. So
That's all right. I was just
sorry
gonna,
I didn't suggest
y'all got
that
to
first.
see, so I was just gonna show that map and kind of how that data set is displayed, but y'all got to see it. Tier
Okay.
1, tier 2, that map.
Yeah, that's really helpful. All right, any report backs from the corridor committees? We've talked about Prince Avenue already. Anything from Atlanta Highway?
Yeah, a couple things. It's not specific to the Atlanta Highway T-Splosh, but there's a new proposal for redeveloping the mall. And there was a town hall that Jessica Gould, Commissioner from District 8, is that
Six, whatever, yeah.
anyway, so he put that on, and lots of people came out. And I have to say that the proposal was really good. It was a vast improvement over what had been suggested the first time. Lots more trees. There's a multi-use path kind of going the perimeter, and it would, connect into existing and planned infrastructure. And then, whatever we're doing on Atlanta Highway. The other big news with Atlanta Highway is that Commissioners Hool and Hamby got together to talk about Mitchell Bridge and Liberty Road. And so they have put together a commission to find option, which, looks perfectly reasonable and fine. And so that's going to come up for a vote.
Okay.
I think in the December meeting. And then there's talk about, there's still money left in 2018 for Atlanta Highway. There's talk about reconfiguring the user group into multiple user groups. One to kind of handle the east-west and then the north-south connections, if you will. And it's possible that there will be one for 2018 and one for 2023. So keep you posted.
Okay, yeah, gotcha. Yeah, I'm hearing some things like about the T-Splosh and how they're gonna fit together. So.
Right.
Randy, anything from Lexington?
No, nothing new other than still waiting for GDOT to comment on the plans that were submitted to them.
Okay.
Ronnie, have we heard anything on the Lexington sidewalk plans?
I'm sorry, you guys. I lost you there. I heard my name.
Yeah.
How can
I
I?
was wondering if we've heard anything on the Lexington sidewalk plan review from GDOT?
No, no confirmation of their feedback yet.
And we went through some committee items in our annual report. Anything we didn't cover that y'all would like to talk about?
There was just one change. When we refer to the Barber Street in whatever it's meeting minutes or agenda, rather than using 4B, alternative 4B, Ronnie noticed that there was a discrepancy between the story map versus the mayor and commission presentation. I think the safest option would be to just say what your recommendation is and not an alternate number letter combo. So just, I think it was, write it out.
So do we need to correct the minutes?
If,
I think Ronnie put it in the chat from the last meeting, so we can recover the chat, text us there.
yeah, so we'll just, I guess if y'all are good with that, change the minutes, y'all could maybe just do a quick vote to make that official.
I'll make a motion that we update the meeting minutes from October 25th to reflect our decision, our recommendation, which was to maintain parking on Barber Street from Boulevard to Prince Avenue. Can I get a second?
Remove parking?
You said approve or retain it.
Right, we're retaining, no, I'm sorry. Oh my God, we're removing, okay, no. We're removing the parking.
Right.
Okay, let me say that again. Our recommendation, which was to remove the parking on Barber Street from Boulevard to Prince Avenue, to give property owners allow them to keep as much of their property intact as possible for this project. That was the Athens Commission official recommendation. That's with the two-way cycle track. That's my motion. Thank you, Mark. It's all running together. Can I
Past us.
Oh my God, that's not what we supposed. Can I get a second on that update to our minutes? Second from Mark. All those, any further discussion?
Nope.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, any opposed, same sign. The minutes will be corrected to reflect
That,
the removal
just
of
say
the
that.
parking. Yes.
Words.
Yeah. Great. All right, it's 6 o'clock. We did start late. If anyone needs to go out, we'll totally understand. We're gonna wrap up here. Moving on to other committees and commissions. Anything from UGA, Blaine?
Just a few things. It seems like yesterday was the starting point of a lot of major construction projects across campus. I think it coincides with the end of the home football schedule. There's a lot more visibility, but working with architect's office and facilities management division to make sure that they're still creating accessible walking paths and ADA paths. So they're getting very good and very conscious of that when they're developing these plans. So we're kind of bracing for some of that, including, I think we almost touched on it, the trestle. They started demoing the trestle yesterday.
Oh, really? Wow,
Yes.
yeah.
I know, I'm not sure what the long-term plan is. I know they are creating another a staircase that'll go down from the parking lot that split the trestle. Eventually there'll be a stairwell down to William Street from there. We had our annual safety, bicycle safety clinic, Operation Safe Drive in November. Special shout out to Scott and Bike Athens for participating and supporting that. They were great. We had a really good turnout. It was a nice day, not nearly as cold as we anticipated. So we were able to see a lot of students and hopefully they got home and to their destination safely. Lastly, the new bike share program that the students requested is the company called Spin, and that they did a soft launch right there, right after our safe drive at the end of, right before the holiday. So they're slowly kind of putting the bicycles out on campus. I haven't received any feedback. We have a meeting with them tomorrow to discuss how it's going. And Daniel, I actually gave them your contact information a while back. I'm not sure if they reached out to you or not.
We had a kickoff meeting with them, and sustainability office is going to be heading up that launch if and how we do the.
These are hybrid
Bike share.
electric bikes?
Yes, pedal assist.
Pedal assist, okay.
Yeah.
Class 1. So
Which means?
it means that they max out at 15 And that is the one that's excluded from a lot of the stuff in the ordinance that is saying you can't ride this on the greenway, you can't do these things. Actually, the greenway one is the only one that's kind of, riding them on the greenway is kind of the issue at the moment because the wording in the easements, as the easements were written. But I think that's something that EGA might be on board with correcting the easement language. Since it's y'all's bike share, I'm assuming that you would want them ridden.
Yes, because there was discussion recently, they're geofenced around the campus right now, but there was discussion about expanding it to the park and ride lot, which to accept, you need to use the greenway to access that, or it's the most efficient way to access that.
Yeah.
I haven't heard any feedback on that yet.
We knew about it internally because basically it's like the template that we have used is the one that was created years ago before e-bikes were even a thing. And it explicitly defines what is allowed on there. And it explicitly says no motorized vehicles. And that's with an easement language. So even if you update it in the ordinance, it doesn't actually reflect that into the easement. So hopefully moving forward, we can not have that be the case. But I remember we dealt with that when I was in leisure services.
It's really motorized. It's not very motorized at all. The bicycles that are using. So yeah, we'll definitely dig into that, but we'll see how it's going on campus.
Yeah, anything else?
No.
All right, yeah, thanks for the update. And Dale, you had sent along the Greenways annual report, which I did link in our agenda. Anything you want to highlight from there, Dale?
Not really out of the report. Just want to make it available to everybody. It was approved at our earlier this month meeting. Ross did a great job of putting it together for us and shows the work done there. The most recent thing was, of course, the opening of the Oconee Hill Cemetery section. A number of you were out there for that. It was a nice day, and
Yeah, it was beautiful.
it was kind of somewhat ironic. It was the same day as Vince Dooley's private burial out there. It occurred just a few hours after that. So that was interesting. A number of different people were out there for different events that made use of the area. But that's nice to have that section now finished and open. It's getting lots of use. The Greenway is trying to still recruit for 3 empty slots. I've heard of 2 people that have applied, and that process is ongoing. If you know anybody else that's interested, please ask them to go online. There's a link on our website that you can apply for those open positions.
Great.
That's it.
Thank you, and yeah, congratulations on that cemetery segment being opened. I mean, it's wonderful. It's a great piece of connectivity and a wonderful addition to our transportation infrastructure. I'm thrilled. I've been on it so many times. I see so many people out on it, walking, running with their families. It's just great. And then I don't have any T-Splost updates, similar to like what Teresa was talking about, the Atlanta Highway. When I last talked to the Splost office, just kind of unofficially, informally, they're thinking about combining the oversight committees because the 2018 projects are almost done, most of them, and that those would be fine to carry over with T-Splost 2020. I think I should say 2023.
It's 2022.
Oh, it is 2020.
They've officially changed the name.
Just to confuse us.
Oh, okay.
Because the program started
All right.
officially.
Started early.
Oh, are our dollars now going to?
Yeah, our dollars are going into
our
22.
sales tax dollars at work. Okay. So for those who are left, parting thoughts, Commissioner Round. Let's see. John, are you still with us?
I don't think so.
Okay.
There's a phone number.
Okay, is that Sharon?
No.
Okay, we'll go around the room. We'll start with Randy. Make the thing go to Randy.
Okay.
Man, I have been operating this manually the whole time. I've just been like trying to move around. Okay, Randy, any parting words, thoughts?
I don't have any particular other business other than looking forward to, 2023, and we have a lot of work ahead of us, and we've gotten a lot done this year, and hopefully we'll get as much or more done this year, in the coming year.
Agreed. Mark?
Trondheim, that's where they have that little bike escalator. I sent a link around, so just look at that. This is your vision. Okay.
All right.
We're gonna be
To
the,
the incline on a couple places using my iPhone to figure out.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Chronometer.
put it on Ruth Street. You could put
I'm
it,
thinking by the, from the end of the Firefly to downtown, that kills me. That's my stress test every few days.
Yeah, at least it's a short hill, kinda.
It's short.
Oh, it is short, but
It's
it's
short.
definitely more than 20 degrees.
Yeah.
We'll see. I'll let you know.
Okay.
Yeah, let us know. It might be the steepest.
Yeah, there is actually, I think connectivity, and connectivity.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Deal?
Wish everybody a safe and happy holiday season.
Thank you.
Happy Festivus for the rest of us.
Yes.
And I love the Greenway. I hadn't used it before, but been on it twice now on a bike, thanks to Scott and Bike Athens, and then walked it. And it was lovely, absolutely beautiful. So,
Yeah, we're within sight of 15 miles of safe, protected places to exercise and commute. It's pretty amazing.
it's such a resource. I'm just so excited for that.
Y'all heard enough from me. Daniel, you got anything?
thanks for all you do. Really appreciate it. Thanks for taking so much time out of your evening to join us.
Thank you, Daniel.
Motion to adjourn.
Well, Todd, do you have anything you want to add? Do you want to go home? That's probably like I'm done.
He's on mute.
All right. Well, thank you for attending our Athens in Motion monthly meeting. Thank you for your patience as we got started, but we have technically finished 5 minutes early compared to when we started. So we will be working on that, and I appreciate you, Daniel and Sherelle, for working with this on our meeting format. And thanks for helping with the technical stuff.